like crazy out. I woke up and heard just like, and I looked out and it was like coming down, which is kind of rare here. It doesn't really rain hard like that. People think it does, but it's not like that. We typically have like some drizzle or something like that. But it's not where you're like running from it type of rain. You see what I'm saying? So that's what's going on now. However, it's not what this video is about. Make sure you join the Discord. It's down in the description box below. I was doing a video and I was well into that video. It was doing pretty good. And then my SD card notice popped up saying that it was pretty much done and I was upset. So yeah, that's not fun. But this person writes to me and says, "Hey Hersh, this is an Ask HershNoeie, I guess." But they were saying that, hey Hersh, wanted to talk about a situation that I have. 2 years ago, we moved to Seattle from, she mentions where she's from. I don't know if I should say. I'm going to say it. She says she's from Dallas, right? They moved here and they wanted to purchase a home, so they did so. She said, "I moved into your old neighborhood of Greenwood and I love it. I found a house, paid a lot more money than what we wanted to, but one of the sacrifices I had decided to make was, do I get a larger yard and a house that was a little bit more affordable? However, it needed a lot more work, or a house that had all the bells and whistles, but the yard was not as big as what I would like." So I chose to actually go with the house that needed very little repairs. And in fact, the only thing that we actually did to this house is a change to the paint color on the inside. Excuse me. My husband changed out the dryer vent and basically just did a few little updates here and there. Other than that, everything's amazing. All is good until I got pregnant. About a year ago, I welcomed my first baby. Congratulations on that. And my only concern is yard space. I knew that something like this could possibly come up, but I'm really kind of in a bind. Now, she sent pictures, right? She stood on the corner because her house is on a corner area. She says this is a quiet street, and so this corner is not really an issue. However, look how much yard I have. So in the picture, it shows her front door in the front yard. The front yard is about half the size of the man cave, right? So the man cave is basically a one-car garage. So it's half the size of that to give you a little bit of perspective. And it's about as wide as maybe a two-car garage or so, a little bit wider than that. Yeah, it's a little bit wider than that. So she says, as you can see, basically I come out the front door, I walk down my steps, and there's the sidewalk, which is kind of typical in this area, honestly, not just in Seattle. So she mentions, the front yard doesn't have a whole lot of space. Also, there's no fence. If you look at the side of the house, the other side is where her central heating unit is, and there's a small tree. The other side, which is by the street on the corner, is got some bushes. She says these bushes here have to go. Now, obviously, it would be great to put up a fence because there's no fence here. So for a security reason and privacy issue, I want these bushes gone. They're not tall enough to actually provide any sort of privacy. And even with the bushes gone, it really only leads just a footpath going from the front to the backyard. It really doesn't give you any yard space whatsoever. She says, now on to the backyard. The backyard at first wasn't a big deal. It has a small koi pond, which we don't really have any sort of use for, so we can remove that. It has a small concrete area where you can literally put down a fire pit, but that is it. Other than that, if you look at the backyard, there's really not a whole lot of space. The backyard, based on my rough measurements, are only about 20 feet deep. And as far as width, okay, so she gives the width. She says the width is only about 40 feet wide. This is not a whole lot of space, and some of this is covered in stone. So there's like I don't know if it's decorative. Well, she says decorative stone, question mark, but it's kind of like a decent sized boulder, like a decent sized rock. It looks great, actually. So I think it's the previous owner's attempt to landscape again. I don't know. So she says, this is a problem. I should listen to you and actually got a house that had a bigger yard. I wanted to live in Seattle because I thought that that would be a better bet. My husband works in Seattle and I work near SeaTac. So it's not that big of a deal to drive to our work. However, I went to a friend's house in Tacoma and she had a house that she had bought about the same time I did. And the backyard is probably twice as big as my backyard. Her front yard is at least a good uh, size double. I don't know what she means by that. I guess double the size also. And she paid a lot less for it, and the house looks just as good. Now I'm confused. What should I do? Well, that's a really good question. And she's, the thing is, I should listen to you. I'm going to show you what I'm doing, not as a brag, right? But what I'm going to do to our backyard. Actually, it's right by the man cave, right? So by the man cave, I'm really going to focus on making this kind of like the barbecue area. I put in an area out in our backyard where I have the grill, but it's kind of in a no man's land type of thing, and it's near the cinder block bench that I made. But right back here, there's a patio area that they made. Don't know why, but they made a little patio area there with stone, and I really haven't used it. However, that's going to change. And I'm going to put up a nice little awning, put a grill underneath, and I'm going to install these lights. I actually lit them. It sent me some lights, and I'm going to show you what they look like out there. These lights are pretty cool, to be honest with you. I think they're about 56 feet long, so it's going to look pretty cool. So here's that piece right here now. Okay, so it's raining. It's been raining like this kind of all day, which is kind of rare for Tacoma. So I can't put my lights up just yet that I got, but I'm going to assemble them inside and hope for a better day where it's not like this. All right, so I have these lithium lights, string lights that I actually got in the mail. And in the description box below, I'll put a link. But these are going to be pretty cool. I mean, obviously, this is going to be how big the actual socket is for the bulbs. That's a remote control timer on it and all of that. Once I actually get this put together, I'm going to light them up so you can see. These are what the bulbs look like, which are included with this. And so I went through, packaging was fairly decent. Nothing was busted or broken. However, I am seeing that there is one bulb missing. So hopefully that doesn't matter. So let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, so I have 17. Hopefully that's what is actually in there. We shall see. But anyhow, I'm going to put these together now, test them out, and then I'm going to see how well they actually light up. And as you guys may know, I'm working on a project outside that's going to be great for my barbecue area. So I'm going to be doing a few different things, and so these would work perfect in the area that I want to actually put my setup at. So there's going to be an awning and everything. Otherwise, I'm going to have these up in a temporary spot so you guys can actually see them. So just 1 second, I'm going to put these together. Okay, one other thing I should note, these are not designed for permanent installation. They're kind of just seasonal, so you put them up whenever. So you can't see it, but I basically put these up with staples. You'll see right here with staples. So therefore I can easily remove this later. But I have this as up for demo purpose right now. Actually, I could show you here. I stapled all these in. So it was really simple to do. So therefore I can just come out and kind of pull them off. But it will go up during the summer months just so that I can have them. And then here, what I did was just put this inside of a Ziploc bag and put some rubber bands around it so that it can be somewhat protected from the rain. Again, this is not going to stay up forever, but I'm going to try it tonight so that you guys can kind of see what it looks like. And then, of course, I have the motion box here with me that is going to go inside. So that's kind of the circumstance right now. Okay, so pardon the noise in the back, but the kids are outside. Here's the lights. I have them installed. Again, this is just going to be a rectangle for now, but I may change it and do kind of like a zigzag pattern over the top. But like I said, this is not a permanent installation. You should get them in over the seasons. I got this out just for display purposes now, but I'm going to turn it on so you guys can see what it looks like. It really does. It's pretty bright. And if I want it brighter, I clicked it, so that's as bright as it's going to go. I can lower it. As you guys can see, it's pretty cool. So let's brighten it back up. And if I wanted to do flashing lights, then that's what it would look like. Doubt I would do that. That's kind of the dim radiant style lights. Doubt I do that also. And then there's that. And then here's the motion detector. Now, of course, obviously, since somebody's walking right there, you're not going to be able to see it, but this provides a tremendous amount of light. I mean, compared to, and right now it's only 5 o'clock here, but it gets dark in Tacoma this time of year, but just, and it's fairly dark. So this area is pretty dark. You can't even see the ground. But once I click that on, you can kind of see quite a bit. And of course, my grill is going to go in this area, so it's going to be a really welcome addition. So yeah, I'm going to leave this up probably for tonight and tomorrow, but probably will take it down maybe and get it in, or I might leave it out. I think the biggest thing that was worried about is like heat. And if you notice over here on that area, right there is where I have the box. So let's walk in front. I want it to stay back because I have a motion light right there. That was not on, but this is where I have the box at, right? So that box has to be at least 5 feet up. That's definitely 5 feet. So I'm gonna leave this guy on, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Not bad at all. Okay, so here's the thing. Um, One of the reasons why I tell folks to really think about where they're wanting to live is because some folks want brand recognition, right? And I think that what I mean by brand recognition is I live in a certain particular zip code. So I live, if people ask you, where do you live? Oh, I live on Mercer Island, or I live in Gig Harbor, or I live in Seattle. They want the title. However, the title doesn't really mean much. You see what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of things that you have to really factor into this. Tacoma offers a lot of bang for its buck. Now, that is changing quite quickly, but it offers still a lot of bang for its buck compared to what you see up in Seattle, right? So it's not surprising that your friend got a house half the price of yours. And so the lady puts the prices in here, and I'm not going to put that, but it's almost half the price. And the house looks about the same. So she shows a picture of her and her friend standing outside of her friend's house, and they're smiling. And to be honest with you, the house in Seattle looks a little more splashier in the front yard, but the house in Tacoma is not that bad. Like, it looks really good. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not worth the massive price difference. I'm just being honest. Um, and that's kind of the circumstance, right? Now, there are some situations, like our backyard's not that big. I wish our backyard was probably double the size of what it is, to be honest with you. We all want something a little bit bigger than what we have. But I wish our backyard was just a little bit wider and a little bit deeper than what it is. The front yard's fine. I don't have an issue with our front yard. It's okay, except for it has a weird little slope thing that I don't like, but some landscaping will fix that, and that would be cool. But our backyard's okay, right? It's fine. It's doable. But when you look at your backyard, you're right, there's not a lot that you can do. You know, she had put in the she said, I should have listened to you. Garden question mark, not gonna happen, right? That was her subject line. But yeah, there's ways that you could possibly do small container gardening. But I think her biggest issue is as the kid gets older, they're going to want to play outside, and there's just not a lot of space. Now, some folks in Seattle sacrifice that and say, look, there's parks that you can go to. And in the Greenwood area, there's a lot of parks that are kind of close by, but that can get old and it gets old quick. And you want to have something that is close by. You want the kids to be outside, be able to enjoy themselves, and you can sit and relax. And I get that. The reason why I push Tacoma so much is not because that back in the day, people thought I had some sort of, I don't know, like I was a politician or something, or that I was a, big, huge developer and I was, getting perks. I wish, but that's not the case, right? I did it because I was talking about Tacoma a lot because I did a lot of the research, right? Just looking at all of the different houses, and there was people that we knew, and their houses were nice. Their yards were not that big. I had one friend, and his yard was fairly decent, but that was like one out of five. The others, their yards were not that big. Like it just really wasn't. It was about half the size of our yard in the back, and that's tiny. You know what I mean? Like that's tiny. I think our backyard's tiny. But of course we have a big trampoline back there. We have the storage building back there, the chicken coop back there. So that eats up a lot of that space. But and then our house kind of extends down a little bit, so that kind of makes the yard look even smaller. But yeah, I think it Tacoma's going to give you a lot better bang for your buck in terms of price, and typically you're going to have a lot better yards. Some yards are much bigger than others. Some places you'll go and the yards are just super super tiny, even in Tacoma. So it's not always a guarantee. In Seattle, you're going to be hard pressed to find a very large yard unless it's a very old house that's been there for a bit. You're not going to really find that. And it's mainly just due to the fact that Seattle is a very congested city. There was an article done talking about for the first time in, I think, 100 years or something like that, there are more renters than there are homeowners. And that's due to the explosive growth there, A. B, it's due to the expensive cost of homes. Also, it's due to the large amount of apartments that developers are building. And there's just no land. You can't really find land to put houses down. So it makes everything a lot more difficult there. Your options are going to be a lot less. Hold on one second. So I had to tell the girls to be a little quiet. They're a little loud. But anyway, so you don't really have a whole lot of options. In the pictures that she set, I have two side areas on the side of the house. They're about equal width, maybe. The area that I'm working on, where I showed you the light, where the lights are going to go, and the light system, that's a little bit wider than the other side of the house, right? The other side of the house is a dead zone. I really don't know what to do with it, what to use it for. We probably will use it for some sort of gardening, maybe. We were going to put the dog back there, and that was going to be the dog run, but we changed our minds. Now the dog runs in a different area. Don't know what we're going to do, but that area is too valuable to just sit there, right? We're trying to maximize as much space as possible. So we have to figure that out. I don't know if I'm going to put raised beds back there. That might be an option. But given this person's circumstance, yeah, there's not a lot of wiggle room. Now, here's the dangerous part. You could end up moving. Um, I think sometimes people do have that buyer's remorse sometimes, because don't go to Seattle and see all the glitz. Don't go to the touristy spots only and be done, because you're going to fall into a bad situation. You're going to see everything that looks wonderful, and then you're not going to face reality. Go to the places where the people live. Go into neighborhoods like Greenwood and different areas, Fremont and Queen Anne and all of these other places, Ballard. Check them out. See what things are like. See if you can deal with it every single day, right? The poshness of Seattle is very, it's a little bit more sophisticated than what you're going to get down here in Tacoma. Tacoma's just like every other city you see in America, right? So some people like that. Up in Seattle, Noelle said that she felt like some people were putting on airs as if, they were being more than what they really were, right? That's not all the people there, obviously, but you do get that kind of hoity-toity vibe, even though there's some people there that aren't hoity-toity. In Tacoma, you don't really get that. Now, is that changing a little bit? Yeah, it is. But you get a lot more for your money. It is dangerous, though, to sell your house and try to get a house down here, because you would instantly be able to have a whole lot more money in your pocket, because if you sell that house up there, you get a house down here, you're going to easily be able to if you go for the same style of house, you'll be able to pay that house off, right? It's just because the cost of houses up there are much more than what they are down here in Tacoma. But finding a home in Tacoma is going to be difficult. The only thing I could suggest to you is to try to work with what you got. You probably, for a small kid, especially until they're like 7, I would probably get one of those little compact little playground sets, right? Where they have a slide and a small swing and all of that. Now, does that take all of your yard? Yeah, but you're able to do it. I would work and try to get a container garden. Noelle's got that little, it was here, but she has that little small greenhouse. I would use that on the little section that you said has concrete. Now, those things are notorious for blowing off. We're going to leave ours indoors, but people are saying that they blow off. I don't know. I mean, if you secure it good enough and tie it down, stake it down, and all of that, you might be fine. But you could probably grow a lot of crops inside, little small things, lettuce and different things like that, carrots, onions. You can grow that stuff indoors, or you can pick a spot and actually grow it. The side of the house that you're talking about that has the bushes that you're going to get rid of, that would probably work well with having like a raised bed. Very small, narrow raised bed that's only about 1.5 feet wide. You can put that all along the side, and that gives you a lot of space, believe it or not. And so you're able to keep it away from your kid, so your kid doesn't, go around it, because kids will do that. Pick everything off. That raised bed element actually keeps things up a little bit higher. Put that fence in like you were talking about, and then you have that whole bottom area there so that still, because our kids play underneath it. Make sure it's sturdy, obviously, but they play underneath and do all that type of thing. So you still have the space, you just have an extra area. Um, you can hear it. It's just coming down. It's crazy. But that's what I would do. I would try to make use with what you have, but this should be a lesson to other people, to really, really think about it. Think about what you're sacrificing, because sometimes, it may look great in the beginning, but then it's like, yeah, you're sacrificing. And for us, we wanted that happy medium of definitely having a pretty decent sized yard. We already had kids, so it was a no-brainer for us. But we also wanted to have something that was definitely something that we can fix up. Now, this is not the best house. All of our friends have houses that look better than ours by far. But on the same token, we're not going to be saddled with a whole lot of debt for a long time. We're able to design it and fix it up the way that we actually want to. And we have a cheaper home in many aspects, but it's valued a whole lot more than a lot of our friends too. So I don't know. But anyhow, it depends on how you look at it, right? Do you want to buy low? I believe in buying low and reaping very high rewards. And so that's kind of the situation here, right? We have a whole lot of room to grow. So, and that's what has happened. Like the value of this home can, a lot of our friends who live in different places, you could easily afford those homes, right? Because the value of the home here is a lot more. Now, some of the folks that live here in Seattle, their houses are worth by far more. And one of the people I know, their house is not all this spectacular, right? They have a great house. It's a great, great home. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles, and it's not sparkling. But it was affordable, and the value of that house is pretty high. Just guessing based on looking at it and everything else, the value is pretty high. Now, on the outside, is it blinging? No. Is the neighborhood they live in blinging? No. But it is it's a safe area, family neighborhood type area, just very minimalistic type thing, and it's a very good house. So that's what you're wanting. And they have a fairly decent yard, believe it or not. So their kids will be able to enjoy that. And they have a little bit of a hill, so they can roll down the hill. It's all fenced in. So they have a pretty good deal. You see what I'm saying? Those type of houses, it's a little bit older, right? Your house that you have is fairly newer. So that's the difference. A lot of the newer homes, you're not going to get as much yard. So anyhow, that's kind of my take on it. Try to work with what you have before you up and just sell. But for folks that are looking, really and truly think about the choices, because there's a lot of factors there. I'm going to make sure that I put the Discord link down in the description box below. I'm going to make sure they also have the link down below for the lithium string lights as well. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.